Hello, I'm Sharon Tapper. I'm the Executive Director of the Music Managers Forum, the MMF US. We're delighted to have you here. Some of you already know who we are. That's awesome. Some of you don't. So just bear with me and I'll give you the skinny on who we are. The MMF US was founded in 1993 and we're the leading trade association for artist managers and self-managed artists. We're a registered 501c6 non-for-profit organization, and our work is powered with the support of our members and the generosity of our sponsors. If you're not yet a member, please consider becoming one. Just head over to our website, mmfus.com, and click on the application button. The core of what we do is deeply rooted in three foundations, and that's education, networking, and advocacy. So through webinars like today's, we provide ongoing professional development to support managers, artists to navigate what is an ever-evolving music industry. It never seems to change. It's evolving so rapidly. We do advocacy to ensure artists, managers, and self-managed artists have a collective voice to shape a fairer and more transparent industry. And we also foster connection, both virtually and in person. So through webinars, community meetups, our all-day summits, events like that. We currently support a nationwide network across 9 regional chapters. So LA, New York, Nashville, Miami, Chicago, Austin, Boston, Atlanta, and most recently Philadelphia. These chapters host local events, they do peer-to-peer networking, they provide community-driven support, professional development on a regular basis, 3 to 4 times a year, depending on the market. We're also really proud that we're members of the IMMF, which is the International Music Managers Forum, which gives us connectivity to 60 other MMFs around the world. So there's a global connectivity with Europe, Latin America, Asia, Africa, the Middle East, Australia. And that connectivity helps us provide opportunities worldwide. If you want to stay in the loop of our events, we have a bi-weekly newsletter. You can easily sign up for that. Again, back at our website, just go to mmfus.com. You can also follow us via social media, and that's just simply at MMFUS. So thanks for your patience. Let's get down to why we're all here. Tackling the issue that affects artists across every stage of their career, and that is royalty leakage. From incomplete registrations to metadata discrepancies to reporting issues, lost royalties have a huge impact. And our speakers are here to share practical insights into identifying those challenges, reviewing revenue streams, implementing workflows to help ensure that artists receive the income they've earned. So I'm delighted to welcome Jeff Ponchek, who's the CEO and co-founder of Mogul, our royalty management and revenue recovery platform that helps artists and their teams to identify and address royalty collection issues. Before Mogul, Jeff founded Repost Network, which was acquired by SoundCloud, where its technology became part of the platform that powered SoundCloud for artists. His extensive experience spans music technology, royalty management, and artist services. And Jeff brings a wealth of knowledge and practical insight to today's discussion. Joining Jeff is Eric Bindman. He is partner and director of operations at Prodigy Artists. Eric manages a roster of acclaimed artists while also overseeing the company's internal operations and supporting its management team. With more than 15 years experience across artist management, touring, publishing, accounting, catalog sales, label management, and operations, Eric offers a unique perspective on the day-to-day realities of managing artists and their businesses. He wears a lot of hats, so really grateful for him to be here. His practical, people's first approach and hands-on experience make him an invaluable voice in today's conversation on helping artists maximize those skills that they've earned. So, over to them. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Howdy, how's everybody doing today? See, we have a lot of people calling in from a lot of different places all across the United States. So welcome, and thanks to the MMF for having us. So yeah, as Sharon mentioned, I'm Jeff Ponchik. I'm one of the co-founders of Mogul. Joined on the call is Eric as well. Kind of run a show. I'm going to show you guys a quick presentation on what it is we do. Shouldn't be too painful, just a few slides pretty quickly. Then Eric and I are going to get into a conversation just about what it's like in management, taking hold of the royalties and registrations, and sort of what currently the internal processes are at a company like, or a management company like Prodigy Artists. And then we're going to show you the product and then have some time for Q&A. So really grateful to be here, and yeah, looking forward to jumping into it. So all that said, let me bring it up. Cool. So Mogul is the all-in-one royalty management and registrations app. Sharon mentioned a little bit about our background, but myself and Joey, our last company was the Repost Network, which sold to SoundCloud. At SoundCloud, I oversaw the creator subscription business and launched SoundCloud for artists. So myself and the original team that started Repost started Mogul. I always say we're a tech team in music, not a music team in music, if that makes sense. And we have an extensive background in just large data sets, royalties, and building tools and services for musicians and managers. The problem we decided to solve, right, when we left SoundCloud, very much the story was, there's so many digital distributors out there, so many publishers. We knew we didn't want to do that. And when we looked into the music industry, what we discovered is that it's really, really messy when it comes to managing all the royalties and registrations, okay? If you're Billie Eilish, it's not like Universal Music is the only thing that pays you. You usually have 7 to 10 different logins to 7 to 10 different things that pay you out on a different fraction of the royalties. And all of these sites are usually pretty difficult to navigate, have different dispute and resolution processes, different payment schedules. And so keeping track of the stack, which is on the right-hand side here, is kind of a mess, and there's nothing really pulling it all together. And also I would say on the right-hand side, this is the sort of the stack that any manager would need to manage as it relates to, an artist who they work with and their royalties. This is just the US, and this does not account for different territory type situations. So it can get even more complex than what I'm showing here. And so what we're attempting to do, or what we've done, is we've built a place that just centralizes it. So if you're familiar with products like Rocket Money or Mint.com, at the end of the day, we don't think that artists and managers, like the difference between sound recording and publishing is important, sure. But at the end of the day, you just want to know if you got paid correctly or not, right? And so what we've built is a platform that pulls it all together so that you can actually understand what the heck is going on with your royalties. I would say the very oversimplistic pitch to a manager or musician is we try and find every missing royalty across every rights type in under 5 minutes. And I kind of referenced Rocket Money, I referenced Mint.com, but there's another company called Plaid, which we've sort of taken, which we've sort of copied, whereby the way Mogul works is you give us your username and password to your DistroKid account or your SoundExchange account or your Universal Music Publishing account. We then authenticate in and pull all your data into one place so you have all your royalties viewable in one view. Once we have all of those big CSV files, with millions of lines of data around your client, we can then see what you've been paid out on and therefore what you have not been paid out on. So once you've linked up all of the companies that pay you, we then find all your royalty issues relatively quickly. And then because we're authenticated into, say, the BMI account or the SoundExchange or the Mechanical Licensing Collective, we can then actually fix the issues in the account for you, right? So I think at Mogul in the last 30 days, we've done over 40,000 individual fixes on behalf of the thousands of musicians who are using our platform. So, we're basically, once you connect everything into Mogul, you then also give us the liberty to manage and make sure that the different royalty portals that pay you are optimized and generating as much revenue for you as possible. What this includes an always on desk audit. So I kind of touched on this a little bit, right? We want to make sure that all royalties are registered across all rights types and that all those royalties are accounted for. We also look into the black box. So places like the MLC, there are also databases like SAG-AFTRA, the Sound Recording Special Payments Fund. These are places you have to know to go to see if you have a check waiting for you. We basically will scan those for you, and if we find any missing money, we can give you the data to give to your publisher, or if we can fix it for you, we'll fix it for you. Um, when you release new music, right? So this is another thing. So we've also built a flow where, let's say one of Eric's artists, let's say Audien, releases a new song, instead of having to log into Cobalt and log into Sound Exchange and log into all the different things that you need to register the song at when you release, you just give us the Spotify URL. You say, add this to my ASCAP, add this to my Sound Exchange, add this to my Song Trust, whatever. And then it's one simple flow to then give us the split details, and we just log in and do it for you. So you have that peace of mind. We also do catalog valuation. My vision is that there are a ton of options right now for musicians to receive a catalog advance or to sell their catalog. But there aren't really that many tools helping musicians or managers actually understand their worth. So because we have all of your statement data, we actually come up with decay rates on a track by track basis and unique valuations on a track by track and composition by composition basis, and kind of just give you an ongoing sense of, if you were to sell your catalog, right, roughly how much could it sell for? And um, more goes into a catalog sale than just, or an advance than just, the numbers, right? There are things like futures and things like that as well. But, this is a very, like, I think, helpful tool to kind of, keep track of it, if that makes sense. And this is really exciting. We're launching this week. We have not announced it. But if any of you out there use ChatGPT or Claude religiously, we actually just launched our MCP. So what that means is you can now register your publishing, you can distribute. We actually also offered 100% pass-through digital distribution if you want to use it. You can fix registration issues. You can take your data, run custom reports on your data through Claude and ChatGPT, or just anything you really want. You can basically pipe your Mogul data into your LLM, build around it. You can also take actions within Mogul too, like submitting those registrations as well. So those are some of the things that we're building at Mogul. Before we show it to you, though, I thought we would maybe bring Eric in here. We could ask a couple questions to kind of just go over, what the process is at a management company like Prodigy around the royalties and, what's working, what's not, before we actually show you the Mogul product. So, how's it going, Eric? You there?
Good, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
very good. I'm
nice.
excited. I love the platform.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Tell me something interesting that's going on with one of your artists right now. I'm sure there's maybe some, electronic music fans in here.
Yeah, I mean we've got Audien who just announced a massive Seattle headline. So we just went up with the pre-sale today, so that's been keeping us busy this morning. And then beyond that, Audien's also headlining a major festival here in Los Angeles next weekend. So it's been deep into pre-prod while he's selling his house. So it's been a little tough while he's moving and closing on a house to get him in front of some a previous suite and stuff like that. But we're working through it.
Yeah, yeah. There's always like the personal side and then the business and career side, right? So
Everyone's human at the end of the day.
that's right. That's right. Cool. Well, I mean, do you want to maybe give a quick overview on the management company if people are sort of unfamiliar with it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Jump in.
Sharon did such a fantastic intro. I don't know if I'll be able to do any better, but I'm the partner director of operations here at Prodigy Artists. We're a boutique management firm that works in the dance space as well as the singer-songwriter space. We have a couple of arena level artists like Slander, who did 52,000 tickets here in Los Angeles. Audien, who's the festival headliner, Nightmare, who's dominating in the bass space. And we also manage a couple of singer-songwriter producers, such as Bacon, who has produced for, I mean, Kendrick Lamar's last album, Jesse Murph's last album, Hozier's latest album. So we keep a foot in both spaces, but we are predominantly a forward-facing dance management firm.
Nice. Cool. Thanks. And so, yeah, my first question for you is when you take on a new client, right? So brand spanking new, day one, they come in the door, or maybe it's not, maybe you're not dealing with royalties on day one. Maybe that's a good question. But what's sort of the process for taking over the royalties, understanding what's going on, making sure everything is set up correctly from an operational standpoint?
Assuming that they don't have business management, generally we'll put together a like a Schedule A, or a full, catalog master breakdown. So every song they've ever released, ISRCs, UPCs, splits on both master and pub, label, link to the agreement, stuff like that. It's incredibly time sensitive, or sorry, incredibly time intensive to put together these schedules, but ultimately that's our Bible. And then going from there, then we're able to see like the full picture as to, have we received royalties for this record? Have we received publishing? Are the registrations correct? It's generally incredibly time intensive and takes a lot of man hours to put together.
Got it. And you brought up a really good point, which is like if they have business management or not, right? And so in a lot of cases, when they have business management or not, where does the responsibility usually fall between management, business management, and maybe even legal, the lawyers?
Yeah, so It it honestly varies on a client by client and a team by team basis, but generally, business management will be handling the royalty audit process of, going and tracking down if royalties are being paid, collecting invoices, collecting money, um, you know, cross collaborating them with the statements to make sure that the funds correlate to what the statements are saying. Legal will generally come in to ensure that, there'll be a sounding board. So business management or management will say, hey, we got X dollar figure, from the label. This is the statement. Does this correlate with the agreement that we have signed?
Right. And I was going to say, like, do you find that when it comes time to do, I don't know, say an advance or a catalog sale, that that's sort of a good opportunity to get everything kind of in order? Or is the way that you guys are managing royalties, is it sort of just it's an always on uh, type of strategy?
Yeah, so I approached it as an always on strategy. If we're looking to get an advance or looking to get to sell the catalog, those are already so time intensive. And if the artist needs money or, wants to sell the catalog to help fund a certain project, by not having your ducks in a row before approaching partners to do so, you're just adding weeks to months to the closing period, on how long it's going to take for you to close on the catalog sale or how long it'll take for you to, provide the Schedule C for, your co-pub agreement. So like you really should have all your ducks in a row and everything ready to go and finalized before getting into those conversations. Because also, like, I mean, generally you won't even get to the due diligence period without someone asking some detailed questions that you would need these answers for.
Yeah, exactly. And do you usually work with like if you don't mind me asking, like a broker in many cases, or are you usually doing it yourself in-house, like organizing the data room, creating the deck, stuff like that?
For catalog sales, I have never used a broker. I know they exist.
Yeah.
Um, I've never used them. I've leaned on our lawyers to facilitate introductions because I think that's like ultimately what a music lawyer is really great at beyond being a lawyer. This is where a music lawyer differs from other fields of laws, that they're very much like a connector and like a networker, and that's something that a lot of managers and artists should lean on more. But yeah, I've never used a broker. I've always compiled the data room myself with like working with the artist's counsel and with the artist business manager, just because I mean some of these some of these records were like 15 years old and just before our time, and we also just won't have all the statements compiled and clean, across a 15-20 year career. But definitely it's a in-house operation, whether that in-house is management or in-house is like artist level. But I would never trust a broker. I've never worked with a broker, but I would never trust a broker to compile the data room anyways. I think that they wouldn't have enough insight to the general business of the artist.
Got it. And yeah, that makes sense. And then for your management company, what is sort of the way in which uh, how to say, I guess, what's sort of the setup internally around royalties? Like, is it sort of like you have managers and day-to-day managers, and the day-to-days are sort of they're kind of responsible for the royalties and registrations? Is it, do you have a full-time royalty person? Do you work with contractors? Like, what's sort of like for a company like yours with such massive acts who, throw off, I would imagine, really decent royalties? Who is sort of like accountable internally at your company for making sure that that's tight, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so it's on a case by case basis. For the larger artists, they'll have business managers that will be doing that due diligence of making sure that things are tight in correspondence with the managers here at Prodigy. They'll be working hand in hand, and a manager can flag, hey, like, I haven't seen this come in. Where's it at? And then they'll go and chase it together. But managers will generally lean for the bigger clients. Managers the will generally lean on the business managers for like the full scope of that. For smaller artists that don't have business management, it'll honestly be the manager that's keeping track of all that. We don't have like a royalty auditing person in house, but a lot of that falls on me just helping the respective managers on the smaller projects keep track of everything. And we do it generally on a quarterly basis. Some of these royalty sources are monthly, like distributors or sound exchange or stuff like that. But generally, we'll approach it on a quarterly basis just so that we can see the full scope and also see what's missing.
Yeah. And how confident are you that like all of your acts are getting paid 100% of what they probably should be?
I'm not confident at all. I
Like,
I've I've built like a pretty good reputation as someone in the industry, I think, as someone who like likes to find money under seat cushions.
yeah.
Which is why Mogul's so perfect for my OCD-ness. But I think that a lot of managers just industry wide are not able to keep track of everything, especially when it comes to international flow through royalties.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. It's funny. I ask a lot of people like, yeah, so like how confident are you getting paid 100% of what you're owed? And I don't think I've ever heard anyone say they feel like, they have that confidence, which is yeah, something that I'm trying to get to the bottom of with Mogul. At least if we can at least figure out like how off are you?
Yeah, I
But
mean, I
yeah,
think royalty sources are so convoluted that it is really hard to keep track of everything.
yeah.
Yeah, and I mean,
And
even worldwide, there's a lot of services that have been designed and built to help with worldwide naming rights. For example, like Sound Exchange is fantastic at what they do, but like they admit that they're worldwide. Like if you give them the worldwide mandate, it's not what they do. They'll do it, but they don't do it well.
right.
And then you've got Peer, Premier, you've got Lime Blues and stuff like that of the world that have like built their businesses around trying to make life simpler for my managers.
Hmm. Totally. And we work with all of them at Mogul. And when you said you have a good reputation for like finding money under sea cushions, that's great. Um, it's funny. I do meet a lot of managers who kind of the reason I asked the question about like time for an advance, it's like they kind of don't think about the royalties or figuring out how to get the money until it's time to sort of get a payout or a cash out, right? But I guess like for you, is there any particular like story that you'd be willing to share about like, I don't know, an example in which you found some money under the seat cushion for someone and what that looked like?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I signed a while back a legacy artist. We don't work with him anymore, but we'd signed a legacy artist who had a couple of Grammys, multiple seminal hits that everyone knew. Um, and onboarding him, I'm like, hey, so like where are we at on A, B, and C? And like he literally didn't know. It's like his career had spanned like 20 years. Things slipped through the cracks every year for 20 years. He had no central database of like, his master catalog. Registrations were late. He hadn't registered any record with Sound Exchange for like 5 years. publishing had been, he was signed with BMG, but no one was telling BMG that he was releasing music, so BMG was even behind. He was like $300,000 unrecouped
Yeah.
because there was no new music being reported to BMG, and I mean BMG, to their credit, also was not paying attention to registering new records. But yeah, so I think that that's a really great example of someone who's been around forever, is like an incredibly well known artist or was an incredibly well known artist at the time, and just everything had slipped through the cracks.
Yeah. No, that's so it's sort of like a lot of little things, right? Just sort of taking
Yeah,
stock and yeah,
and
yeah.
and generally we see that more often with artists that have been around longer. Like if you like are a small artist or a small manager who's like just developing, getting all these ducks in a row now will only pay dividends in 10, 15, 20 years when you want to sell your catalog, when you want to ensure that you've been collecting things, and also just making sure like nothing's being lost in the black box.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, don't let your money get given to the major publishers, right? Because f- you know, forgot to do your registrations. I mean, that's like that was one of the most crazy things about starting Mogul. We didn't expect this problem to be so big, which was, you know, a lot of people are like, "Oh, my performing rights organization, I don't think they paid me correctly, or I'm missing this territory." But we found this issue where of all the musicians who are using Mogul, on average, over 50% of their catalogs simply were not submitted into the royalty portals that they needed to be to even begin the process of getting paid incorrectly, right? Like a lot of these artists weren't even stepping up to the bat, you know what I mean, to even let that happen. Um, and so yeah, I feel like with Mogul, like so much of what we do is exactly what you said. It's like you connect all these different sources, and then it's just like, yeah, like you didn't do your featured artist share claims at Sound Exchange. Yeah, it's not in the PRS or the SOSM or the ASCAP account, you know? And so much of what we're doing is just like it's almost like a goal to just reach some form of like catalog completeness from a registration standpoint so that the money can even begin to start trickling. And it's a huge problem, I think, or we're seeing it very firsthand. Um, cool. Let's see. I know we want to do 10 minutes or so for Q&A, so we'll do one more question. Um, I guess for a management company like yourself, like what's sort of your guys' process for like finding new tools to make your life easier internally? Like are you sort of the person at the front lines trying all the new tech and products and services that are out there and then kind of like plugging other managers on the team into it? Or are people very much kind of doing their own thing and they have their own unique sort of management tech stacks? How does all that work currently?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that that's a pretty overarching question that I don't really have an answer for. Like I discovered Mogul on a meme page. So that's that. So like I guess
Yeah.
it rewards me to be, memeing in the middle of a business day. But roster stacks is like an incredibly great resource to see what like our peers are using. And I'm pretty attentive to seeing like what other managers are using and or promoters or agents, whatever, just to see like how something can work into my workflow. And then beyond that, like honestly, just word of mouth. I think word of mouth is so important, and I think it's so important for people to. I don't want to say like giving up their secrets as to what keeps things, but like talking about what's working and sharing that.
Yeah, totally. If there's any builders, people like trying to build management tech or anything in the audience, right? Like I with tech, I always say it's like you got to build something, right? And you got to, especially in the music industry, it's so word of mouth oriented, right? Like, and usually that first year just looks like getting on a ton of calls with people and getting them to use your product and hopefully pivoting and getting it good enough so that they start to share it with their network. And then, that's great marketing. So cool. All right. Well, Eric, do you have any kind of like, I definitely want to jump into a demo real quick. Do you have any sort of like closing thoughts or feelings sort of about royalties in general as it relates to, Prodigy or yourself?
Um, Yeah, I mean, I think that like Mogul is just really a fantastic tool that doesn't only help you keep track of like your royalties and all that. But I think that like as you get a broader team, like business management and stuff, I think that it's a fantastic tool for keeping your business managers accountable and keeping your lawyers accountable. And like these are partners, then you don't want to like, light a fire under them and like not trust business management, because if you can't trust business management with your money, then what are you doing with them? But I think that ultimately everyone's human and everyone makes mistakes, and things can slip through the cracks. So I think that like Mogul is an incredible stopgap for things like that. I think it's a great tool to provide a 30,000 foot perspective, even if you have, you're an arena level artist and you have everything already in place team wise, and you've got a business manager that's got like a royalty accounting auditing team. I think Mogul's still like really great tool to provide a 30,000 foot perspective of the entire business.
Thank you. Really appreciate that, Eric. And the other thing too is we also work with a lot of business management firms too. But yes, that's a very, very good point. So, all right. Well, thank you for that. And I'm going to just jump into a quick demo. Okay, cool. So this is the Mogul dashboard. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. A really good place to start is the sources tab. So this is where you would like link up all the royalty dashboards which pay you. Okay, so right now I have a connected ASCAP account. I have Empire Distribution, Centric, which is a publishing admin. Looks like I need to reconnect my Sound Exchange account. But yeah, the administration, which is a pub admin, and United Masters. If you want to add a company, right? Like we really wanted to avoid people having to like download and upload a bunch of statements, right? So what we did was we built this like connect flow. And so if we want to say Sony Records, right? You basically give us your username and password to your Sony account. We'll authenticate in. If there's like a 2FA code, we'll ask for it. And then once we're in, we will grab all the statement data and all the catalog data. Now, if you're not comfortable giving us your login details, you can always upload the files manually yourself. That's totally cool. And the way that we work from a security standpoint in most cases is we will log in, we will add ourselves as a guest user to your account. So you'll see sort of like mogul123 at usemogul.com with sort of usually copyright only permissions. And then we'll just delete your initial password data, right? So we only keep it for a very short window of time. And then moving forward, we just access your data via the guest user account. And if you don't like Mogul or you want to leave, you can always, remove it. Cool. Once it's all linked, I am not a songwriter, so these numbers are going to be like really depressing. Like our system knows that this is a writer account. Here's all my domestic earnings. Here's all my international earnings and my catalog. So once that's all, you've linked up all your companies, we first give you analytics. And some people freak out about this. They've just never seen the publishing and sound recording in one view. So if I hit show me how much I made from publishing over the last 5 years. Okay, great. I made 180K, right? This much came from Centric. This much came from ASCAP. This much came from this pub admin, the administration. I made this much from sync versus performance versus mechanicals, right? Here's like this much came from Spotify or YouTube or whatever. We benchmark the business. We show how your business is doing this year over last year. This is really cool. If there was another distributor connected on the account with data, we actually tell you which label or distributor pays you more per play on Spotify. So we actually will reverse engineer their deal with Spotify. So we catch a lot of folks who work with labels who maybe, have an intermediary taking like 20% on top of everything. And you'll be like, why is it so low? So that can be really helpful. I mentioned catalog valuation. So here we give you a publishing and a sound recording based valuation since we have all your statement data. We're partnered with companies like BeatBread and Roy-Fi and Songbest if you do want an advance. And yeah, we do some interesting stuff, right? Like we tell you how top heavy your catalog is, right? In my case, my top 10 songs make up 50% of my royalties, so this is a bit moderate. We look at your dollar age value, so how old is the catalog versus how consistent it is. So a great example is like Bob Dylan's catalog is worth higher from a valuation standpoint versus a catalog with one song that's been out for 2 months and a track got 20 million plays, right? Like if it's older and more consistent, commands a higher value. And then yeah, we actually, like I mentioned, we do decay rates on a track by track basis. We tell you multiples on a track by track basis or composition by composition basis. I'll show this to you guys. This is really cool. We haven't even gotten to the money making part yet, but we launched this in beta. It's called Deals. So you can actually now upload your contracts with your distributors and publishers. And what we'll do is we'll use AI to scan through the data and then tell you if you've actually been paid out the right royalty rates or not. So like I have this uploaded Empire deal, right? First off, when you upload it, we'll read through the legalese and put it in a format that I think is a little bit easier to read if you ever need to revisit it. Like, what were my sync rates? What were their territory deductions, right? It all just kind of lays it out a little bit better. But if you were to upload a deal, we have this really cool sort of contract preview section where you can say like, okay, like it looks like the term ends on the ladder of fixed duration of recoupment. Where in the PDF does it say this, right? And it will snap around, and you can just make sure it's all correct, right? And then once you get the contract details in, we'll map it against the royalty rates from, in this scenario, Empire. And like I said, we'll say, hey, we think Empire has underpaid you 20,000 bucks or whatever it is. So it's actually like, in this case, auditors charge like sometimes like 20, 30 grand just to do this. And we do this, as part of our subscription. So where 99% of people spend all their time is the fix issues section. So this is where we make you more money. So we provide some bulk registration options, but what we're basically trying to do here is, from a registration standpoint, are all royalties flowing and accounted for across all rights types, yes or no? So in this scenario, our system has found 108 things for this catalog that need to be fixed. Looks like Mogul's completed 3. And yeah, if we want to, like, I don't know, we can fix a neighboring rights issue, maybe. We have the song Dogs in Miami, let's fix it. We say, great, we're not seeing the featured artist share of neighboring rights. This needs to be registered. We grab the data from Spotify, so you're not like, you know, sorry, I have to move the Zoom preview thing so that you're not, having to find ISRC codes and UPC codes and log into your distributor. And then you just give us a little bit of information, like, are you the main artist? Yes. Maybe what's your split of the artist share? Maybe I should get 50%. And then we say, hey, we see you have a connected sound exchange. Would you like us to add this to your sound exchange for you, right? And you hit continue. Once that's done, it goes through a QC process. It's no different than working with like a digital distributor, but it's for your registrations, right? Things can get rejected, right? Like if someone were to say they're a writer on a Beyonce song and they're clearly not, right? We have precautions in place to make sure that that doesn't happen. But then, yeah, we'll log in and fix the registrations. We do tens of thousands of these a month, and we're growing quite quickly. Just submitting people's registrations. We also offer 100-0 digital distribution and worldwide publishing administration and neighboring rights collections. So this is all included in a subscription. We don't really care if you do pub admin through us or if you do it through an existing partner. We want to be Switzerland. We just want to make sure you're getting paid. And we have a bunch of users who just kind of were like, we like working with you. You give good support. Can you do this for us too? So I'll show you if you want to get registered through the existing companies you work with. So in this scenario, let's say I want to register something at ASCAP and Sound Exchange, right? One second. So I just select the two of these. I hit continue. I grab the Spotify track URL. Cool. And then it just asks you a couple questions, right? Like, okay, I can add a writer. I have my saved writers here. We'll give 50% to Tim. And then we grab the neighboring rights issues or the digital performance issues for Sound Exchange. So maybe I'm not the acting record label, but I am the artist. And this is a remix, and it was recorded in US, I guess. And then, you just hit confirm that this is correct and submit it. And so I think it takes usually on average about 5 minutes per registration per platform. That just took, seconds, right? So we're really trying to save you time and, help you with that regard. What else? Audit. So this is really powerful. So I think I mentioned we have sort of an at-scale product where this is for like more independent musicians and managers, and we have sort of an enterprise offering, which is for larger management companies and business management companies. These are more for people who kind of know their way around royalties. Maybe their artists are in more of a major label, major publisher deal. And we at Mogul can't really fix the issues for you because the output might be, hey, we need to actually go to Universal Music Publishing and give them these fixes and have them fix the issue because we can't do that for you through their portal. So what you're seeing here is a little bit more of an enterprise feature, but I'll show it to you. And if you're interested in this, just reach out. We give you a health score. So this catalog has a 75%. Let's say that your client's a songwriter and you don't care about sound recording royalties. You can deselect which rights types we audit against or desk audit against or audit your catalog against. We'll keep everything selected. And we basically give you this like big old list, right? This big intimidating list that sucks to look at. And it goes just a little bit deeper than what we do in the Fix tab. So for instance, we pull in all of your unmatched mechanicals from the MLC. So this song, we found a missing royalty for Google Play. This song we found, if it wants to load, Audio Mac, Google Play, right? Here we have Spotify, Apple Music, right? And so in this scenario, if you have an MLC account connected to Mogul, we'll just log in and do the claims for you. You'll just get an email that's like, hey, we did your matching at the MLC. You're going to make more money. If you're in a publishing deal, you can download this and reach out to your publisher and just say, hey, I did my own search against my own catalog. I found all this black box. Could you please claim this? And hopefully that will make your partnership more money. The other thing that we do from an audit standpoint is incomplete publishing splits. So your client can be listed as a writer on a song, but maybe not receiving the publishing because someone else registered it, right? So for this song, Lonely Cyborg, super cool title, I know. I'm on here and Joseph is on here, right? And Centric Music Publishing is on here. So what's happening is this song is claimed, right? Publishing royalties are either going to Joseph or me. And it's happening through Centric, but one of us isn't getting paid, right? Because the total does not equal 100%. So what we do is we also flag all of those instances around you as a writer. And this requires a little bit of context, right? Like you can dismiss the issue if it turns out like, oh, I know I'm with Centric and I registered this, like, you can dismiss it. But this is sort of a way for you to just keep an eye on things. And, the output of this is, we find people, tons of instances where things need to be registered that need to be. What else? The contractual rate discrepancies. So that's the output of the deals app. So when you input your deal info and connect it to the company that's paying you, you would find the output of contractual rate discrepancies here. And unfortunately, it's not in this demo, but the example of it is you would get like a grid that says like on line 1,123, you were paid $10. We think you should have been paid 12. The cumulative value of all of those issues is $50,000 or whatever it is, right? Or you were overpaid. I don't know. And then, yeah, residual funds. So I think I mentioned this in my demo, or my slides, but SAG-AFTRA, Sound Recording Special Payments Fund, we basically download all of those lists maybe once a quarter. And if any of your clients' info are in there, we're like, hey, we found you a check, and we give you a link on basically how to go claim it. Yeah, that's it. For managers, very easy to you can manage multiple accounts very simply. You can select, who has access to the different sub accounts. So very easy to set up from like a roster standpoint. And yeah, I think I'm ending exactly at 10:50 with Q&A to spare. I hope all of that made sense. But that's the product.
You completely did that on schedule. Thank you so much.
Very timely. Yes.
I'm going to go to questions now, of which there are many.
Oh, good.
I'm going to do them in order, so just bear with me. So, is there a website or portal to access royalty forensics for artists worldwide?
There is. It's usemogul.com. I'm putting it in the chat. I hope you all check it out.
Very cool. How far back can Mogul track and collect royalties?
Yeah, and so it kind of depends on the right. Usually it ranges anywhere from 3 to 5 years. So yeah, I mean, in a lot of cases, what we're doing is when we find these missing registrations or at the MLC unmatched mechanicals, right? We're helping people access and collect their back pay, right? And so what's really common with Mogul users who, and I will be very specific about this, Ari, who do what we tell them to do, right? If they log in, they fix all their issues, right? Usually it's like a month or a quarter will go by and it'll be kind of business as usual. And then sort of the next month or quarter, depending on the royalty source, they'll see a nice spike because that's usually when the back pay comes in. But yeah, it's anywhere from like 3-ish to 5 years, depending on the royalty type.
And do you have a way to chase or interface with the source?
Yeah, so I mentioned that uh, depending on the rights type, we can do collections. So kind of, I showed you guys that fix flow. Usually there's an option where it's like you can choose Mogul to collect on it, and in that case, we'll go and we'll act as the administrator or collect on the neighboring rights and you know collect those royalties for you and pay you out. As I mentioned, that's a 100-0 split, which I actually don't know of any 100-0 pub admin offering in the music industry, although I might be wrong. Um, and yeah, in those scenarios, we're in many cases going direct to source. The other thing too is there's a lot of instances where like we have musicians who maybe they work with ASCAP or BMI music reports in the MLC, and that's a great setup, but the MLC only collects in the US, so they're missing out entirely on ex-US mechanicals. So you can work with Mogul and do an ex-US only deal too. We're very, very flexible in that scenario to be able to collect those royalties outside of the United States as well. And we're helping a lot of people who have, in particular, that sort of independent setup where maybe they're not going with Songtrust, they're not going with Centric, and they're trying to do it themselves, but there's sort of like holes and gaps. And yeah, we can also collect the back pay there too.
Got it. Does Mogul have it so a CPA can have a separate login for tax purposes?
We do not. That's a very interesting question and idea. We do have instances in which, it's funny for like catalog sales. Sometimes the reason I was asking Eric so many questions about catalog sales and brokers is a lot of people use this as a data room, right? Because we like organize all the statement data and we do a little bit of valuation and there's some charts and stuff. And so sometimes that's just like easy when someone's trying to get an advance or do a catalog sale to just use us. We've also seen that, yeah, sometimes people will loop in their business manager or accountant or CPA, but there's no separate login for tax purposes. It's basically the same thing anyone else would get.
Got it. Another question from Ari, who we love, by the way. How do you verify that users who are signing up to Mogul actually own what they say they own and don't overclaim, overcollect, or I guess claim things that they are not entitled to? How do you verify that?
Totally. So previous to starting this company, I built a digital distributor, right? And we scaled quite significantly within SoundCloud. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of people out there pretending to be other people. And there's just a lot of like small tricks of the trade as it relates to building a strong QC process, right? Like if someone submits a registration for a top 500 artists on Spotify, that gets flagged. There are certain things. But actually, yeah, so there's like little things like that. The other thing too is like when we're having people link and connect the companies which pay them, that's actually a much deeper level of authorization and sort of KYC than someone going to say, a traditional publishing administrator, at scale publishing administrator, or distributor, um, because they're effectively linking 5 or 6 or 10 things. On behalf of that artist, and we can see the data and we can verify that it is that account. But yeah, so it's a mixture of that, as well as a mixture of having like a very strong QC process on the back end and investing heavily in that. So we reject submissions all the time, and people have tried to come through and take advantage of it, and we're stopping that daily.
Great. No, thank you. Another question from Ari. Which distributor has the best deal with Spotify? Are you able to reveal that?
Yeah. Yeah, Ari is very astute.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, like we have a statistically relevant number of connected DistroKid, CD Baby, TuneCore, but also Universal Music, Sony, Warner accounts, right? So we have enough connected people who have connected companies and given us their data that, yeah, we actually kind of do have a sense of who that is, but the hard thing about this business is we're also integrated with these companies, and we work with these companies, right? And so we that's not something we're sharing at this time. Um, but
Very
but
diplomatic.
it is very it is very interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
not who you would expect.
All right. There you
Yeah.
go. Um, can you speak more about the companies you partner with to distribute advances?
Sure. So the three companies right now or four companies, excuse me, Beatbread, Songvest, Sound Royalties, and Royfi. These are primarily more at scale, particularly companies that do advances, although Songvest does acquire catalog too. And yeah, they're each a little different. Their deals are a little different. Their IRR goals are a little different. And sort of if you're inside Mogul, we actually highlight like traditionally like what makes them a little bit different. For example, Sound Royalties is a little bit up higher market. You have to make a certain, they'll only take an advance for like if you have a certain catalog size, right? So there's like little things within the product to kind of like help you make the right decision on who to work with. But my usually my advice to artists is if you're trying to get an advance, try and get an offer from everyone and get the best deal that you can, right? But yeah, and then we also have a small stable of more folks who didn't want to be in the product, but when an artist gets in touch and says, "Hey, I really want to sell my advance, can you help?" We can also connect the dots with some other um, funds that are out there too.
Wonderful. Thank you. Um, I've got somebody asking just to ask to be certain if we use Mogul's fix feature, then Mogul will fix any issues with the data on the respective platforms or only within your own.
Uh, yeah, so we're fixing and repairing and submitting the issues into your ASCAP account and into your Sound Exchange account, right? So, yeah, the reality is that like a lot of these accounts, it's like a lot of heavy data entry. Sometimes it's tight, but often it's a mess. And so, because you've linked your say your ASCAP into Mogul, we kind of find all the issues, and then you give us the information you need, and then the main use case is we'll log into the ASCAP and fix the issue. Now, where there might be some confusion is we also can do collections if people want. That's a little bit more of just like an upsell. In that scenario, then yeah, we're going to actively be collecting on the publishing stream and paying you out each month. But it's really up to you and up to, would you like us to do the collections or would you want us just repairing the issues in your account so that the assets you've created, are humming and making as much money as possible?
As a label owner, we recently transferred catalogs from a distributor like Downtown Music to Symphonic due to the Virgin Music Group acquisition of Downtown. We noticed offhand that Sound Exchange has conflicting records on our account where our past distributor is still collecting on Sound Exchange. Do you guys flag something like that in your interface?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So right now in the Fix tab, it's so there's like unmatched, right, that we can fix, and it's just missing registrations, right, or royalties not accounted for. Conflicts we do not have yet, but we want to do that for sure. I think that's going to create a lot of value is conflict resolution. It also gives us another thing for us to do for our user base, right? So yeah, to answer your question, Clint, we do not do that currently. That's a great question. And if you want to like shoot me a text or something or discuss, I'm happy to, you know, just help. Just let me know if you need any help with that.
When Mogul makes a change anywhere on a royalty system, can you tell who did the change at Mogul so that you can see who was responsible for making that change? Is that documented on your end?
Yes, we do have that. So we have QC operators and operators who are submitting registrations on people's behalf, and we do track that for just in mainly for internal reporting purposes, not just to see like who's doing more work internally at the company. So yeah, so we do have that set up. Yeah. Um,
Thank you very much for that question. Here's another question. Who powers your pub admin? Is it Centric or somebody else? And do you take a commission?
Yeah, good question. That's a great question. So we are direct in the US and Canada. So we're direct with the MLC, the PROs, SIMRA, SOCAN. And then for ex-US, we use an entity called Mint. Mint takes a small fee for the ex-US, to be completely honest, to do it. But then for us, we take no percent. So for everything that we collect and pay out, we are not taking a percentage. We're a subscription-based business, and we just do it in exchange for the subscription. So it's a good question.
What is your model stack? Are you building on top of an existing LLM API, or do you have a custom model under, how have you, what is this built upon? Or is it unique that you've built?
Yeah, so our stack, we have in-house software engineers. So this is like not a vibe coded platform. We use Claude Code. I think any tech startup right now not leveraging what's going on with AI is you might find yourself getting outperformed. So we use Claude Code for sort of more sort of junior engineer type tasks. From an LLM standpoint, we've historically only used AI from a product standpoint in like the most boring way. So everyone's like doing all these like agent mode kind of sexy things, right? Like for us, like in these royalty reports, there's like the way something is spelled will be wrong, or like it'll be all capitalized, or there's like weird spaces and stuff. And so we actually use AI, a mixture of Claude and OpenAI, to just like merge things and make sure like, hey, is this composition the same thing, right? So we do that to create like a confidence score, which is like an interesting use case. And then, yeah, with our MCP, which we just launched. So if you create a Mogul account, you've centralized all your data, we found all your registration issues, you can connect that into your Claude or your ChatGPT, and you can build around that and build your own apps or query the data or run your own reports or even submit new registrations through Mogul via Claude. So, we also have I'm kind of letting y'all know about that first. We'll be announcing that, I think, next week. But yeah, everything's pretty, from a code standpoint, in-house. We're a Java shop. Yeah.
So this kind of answers what I think answers one of the questions. Are there actual people on the Mogul side making fixes, or is this AI of some kind? It sounds like it's a blend. Am I correct?
It's a blend, yeah. So you know, it's funny, like startups, you kind of have to do what doesn't scale to like prove that like what you're doing is worth doing. And so for us, we didn't know if people wanted us to fix their registration issues. It was at first it was sort of a guess. And so we launched it and it kind of exploded. And yeah, it was all humans, right? I was like I would like finish dinner and then I would work for another 4 or 5 hours just me manually doing people's registrations, right? And then it got to the point where when you're doing tens of thousands and soon we'll be doing hundreds of thousands of fixes, right? Like you have to invest in automation. And so the way we think about it is for the services that are the highest volume, we automate those first. Sometimes that's browser automation. Sometimes there are things like CWR, which are music industry like tech standards that we can implement to kind of do things more at scale. But yeah, like for instance, we just onboarded the Performing Rights Organization of Austria. We're doing a fix for, one user right now for that. And yeah, that's a person. So to answer your question, Sharon, that's exactly right. It's a bit of a mixture. And, as we've kind of experienced it's a good problem, scaling issues, we're definitely investing more in automation to get our costs down for sure.
What is your policy on registering, distributing, collecting AI music, generative AI music?
Yeah. So the policy, it's funny, like there's our policy and then there's like what the policies are of say BMI, right? Or the digital distributors that, you work with. And so um, our understanding is that if it's 100% fully generative AI, we are rejecting that currently. If it is AI assisted, then that is registerable at for example, BMI has been very explicit about this at a place like BMI. So for us, we're kind of just very closely watching, what the protocols are at the places in which we're doing the registrations at, and just trying to follow those. Um, I mean, I could talk to the other ones of, Sound Exchange and, other places too, or PPL, but yeah, that for example purposes, for BMI, we're allowed to submit partially AI generated content.
What is the difference in subscription prices, and what do you recommend for an indie artist?
Yeah, for sure. I'm happy to flash the pricing page real quick. Yeah, so we try to keep this as affordable as we humanly can. Um, the main thing that we have a distribution plan. So this is like if you just want to use us for distribution, pub admin, where we do the collections for that 100 pass through. So that starts at $5 a month. Billed annually, I believe it's $7 a month if you just want the distribution pub admin plan. Mogul Register is $12.50 a month, so that's like where we're logging in and like fixing your issues for you. And then we have a concierge offering. So what we found is that a lot of musicians, or maybe even people who are a little less tech savvy, really like they want like more hands-on help. So if you want, there's someone on our team named Eric who, you can get on a monthly call with someone. We come up with a game plan. I think I showed you there was that audit, like it had a 75% score. It's like, okay, what's our plan from going from 75 to 100? And that starts at, it's around $100 a month. And that's just a little more expensive because that's like a little bit more of a service offering. You're kind of taking someone's time versus like working within the product. But yeah, it's anywhere from like 12 to $18 a month for the main plan, um, and to fix all your issues.
Thank you so very much. Your energy is, I think I saw somebody say, I wish everybody made this subject so interesting. So we're going to clean this up, edit it, put it on our YouTube channel. You'll all get the discount code delivered in your inboxes when we put it up on YouTube. But in the meantime, I just thank you ever so much for being here and being part of this. And many thanks to Eric for his contributions, which were amazing. And thank you to everybody that attended. So we look forward to staying connected with everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy the July.
Yep. Thank you all. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so